Okay. Welcome again. This is Lou Nowak with Resource for Care. And today we're talking about navigating aging and caregiving, more specifically, the topic of your home, care help, and hard decisions. We chose today to put a panel together that includes a variety of professionals that have been working in their area for many years, including an elder law attorney, a downsizing and moving company, a broker who is an author and works with seniors, and then myself, a former owner of a home care agency and an educator now on navigating aging. But first, I'd like to ask a question of our audience, because we know that, at some point, every family is going to face this, where to live, how to get help when it's needed, and how to make those difficult decisions without waiting for a crisis so that you're doing it in a more calm and centered mode. So my question to the audience, and the chat is open, feel free to comment as I introduce the panelists. And the questions are you planning for yourself or helping a loved one? Have you had a conversation about future housing before? Do you currently provide care for someone? And maybe any other reason you might be on today. Might just be, well, I want to know more. So feel free to answer all of those questions or any of those questions so that we have an idea of who's with us today. And I'm sure glad we waited because we doubled our attendees by waiting 3 minutes. So that was a good plan. So rather than me introduce our panelists, I'm going to ask each of those, and you might see that we're missing, we have a chair empty here. She's on her way. But I'll have each person start off with telling us who they are, who they work with, and maybe their superpower, with the next thing being, after that, what the biggest mistake is. So just to give you some heads up of what I'm going to ask. So Matt, do you want to start us off? Who are you? Who do you work with? And what's your superpower?
Sure. Thank you, Mary Lou. I'm Matthew Rhoads. I'm an attorney, and I work with the law firm of Douglas and Runger. I've been an attorney for about 18 years, and I focus primarily in estate planning and probate administration, and I'm often working with seniors in their long-term care planning. As far as a superpower, I guess I'd have to say it's avoiding drama. If I can manage that, I'm doing pretty good. And the biggest mistake that I commonly see is just people delaying, waiting, not taking action. It's always preferable to do preventative planning as opposed to crisis planning. And I can't always control where my clients are in their lives, but our options are much more numerous if it's preventative planning, and that means we got to take action earlier rather than later.
Wonderful. Sherry, how about you?
Okay, I'm Sherry Harbur, and I'm the broker and owner of Harbur Realty, and also the author of Senior Housing Roadmap. So we do a lot of education. We found that over the years, that's where we were lacking a lot, is people just did not know what to do. And they would put off their move too long, or fail to talk with their family about what they wanted. Then they ended up moving in crisis mode instead of making their plan ahead. So we help people buy and sell homes, and seniors are our I guess our passion. That's what we really love to do, is help our seniors through that process. They get overwhelmed often with their stuff. So we provide solutions for them. We help them with the stuff. We help them with the real estate. We help them with maintenance, whatever needs to be done to make that sale easy and seamless for them and as stress-free as possible. And also it takes a load off of their adult children. So our superpower is just helping them do it easily and not making the move kill them, but making it easier for them.
So I'll ask the entire panel, when is the right time to begin?
Recording in progress.
Okay. When is the right time to begin planning for aging-related decisions? Who wants to take that one?
Yesterday, last year, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's never too early to start to at least get educated. Whether or not you have to take certain steps, you might be ahead of the game there. But as long as you have the knowledge already, then I think that is how you get yourself best equipped to be able to move forward.
I agree. Too often we saw people in crisis trying to make those decisions.
Right. Well, not them, but their children or
Very
their health
true.
care provider.
So with that, why does it create the ability to have more choices?
Just the time. If you are looking to downsize, you have the time to check the market out, see which neighborhood you want to go to. If you want to stay in a home, you just want a smaller one. Or if you're going to a community, often there's waiting lists. So
Yes.
you need time to explore the communities, decide which one you want to be on. You may want to get on 2 or 3 waiting lists, but if you're waiting till the day you have to do something, you're going to have to go to whatever's available and you don't have the option.
Right.
So.
I think it's a educational journey when you begin this journey. In that, like you mentioned, you go and you take a tour or you inquire about something, and as you're doing that, you're learning more and more. You're learning there is a waiting list, or a particular place doesn't have memory care, and you're concerned about that, and you feel like that you need to be in a place that might have that in the future. So as you go along, it gives you more choices because you're learning more. So you end up coming in with one question and sometimes leaving with 10.
That's right.
It's almost like getting homework. But that's a good thing because, you know, an educated person is going to make better choices in the
Right.
future. From a legal standpoint, Matt, does it create more choices? Is there some, by doing it early, how does it do that?
Well, I think from a legal perspective, what we're really trying to do is make sure that we have all of our affairs in order so that we can make choices in the first place. Oftentimes the scenario is we are dealing with adult children who are trying to take care of their parents. But pick any scenario, a caregiver trying to help somebody else. You can't have a third party talk to you about another person's bank account. You can't have a third party talk to you about someone's insurance policy, someone else's insurance policy. And so the question is, how do you get that authority? And so initially, right off the bat, before anything else happens, we've got to make sure that we've established that authority. And so oftentimes we're trying to help families get to that point where whoever the caregiver is going to be, is it the adult daughter, is it the adult son, is it a friend of the family's, whoever this person is, how are they going to be able to make decisions on behalf of the person that they are helping? And so that's an initial question that then allows them to be able to make whatever choices might come their way.
Come on in.
One of the other things that we see also is just it creates an opportunity to kind of get our affairs in order. If we're talking about how we are going to be living going forward, well, what resources do we have? A lot of times people's accounts and assets or whatever are scattered all over the place, and we don't even know what paperwork to look for. And so we're trying to help get all of that kind of under one portfolio or in one file, so to speak. So that we just have a better idea of what we have at our disposal to afford the housing that we're talking about.
I think too, I think it was actually a session that your organization, your company, Matt, hosted. And one of the things that somebody communicated is that they had their, let's say, sister as a power of attorney or a beneficiary. But then when they went to talk about it, that wasn't their choice any longer, right? So by coming to that seminar and learning about it, they realized that there was some work that needed to be done, you know, and they would be limited when they needed somebody to take care of them as to who could be that person if they haven't updated their documents.
Yes. So power of attorneys are the way that we authorize someone else to handle our own affairs, and I recommend them for everybody, not just our seniors. I mean, I have a power of attorney. It's my dad. He never has to use it because I can still handle my own affairs. But the point is, I don't know what's going to happen when I leave here today. I might get in a car accident and knocked into a coma. And if I haven't already signed a power of attorney, then my affairs come grinding to a halt. And so everybody should have one once you're 18 years of age. And one of the common misconceptions is that when we sign a power of attorney, we're giving something up. And that's just not true. You're still in control. You're still steering the ship. It's, you can change your power of attorney, you can revoke it, you can change who the person is that you want to help you. But the problem is if you wait and then something happens, now it's too late to sign a power of attorney. So now our options are limited. Now what do we do? And if someone is actually going to be authorized to help you and you don't have a power of attorney, then whoever this someone is, they've got to go to court. And they have to get the court to appoint them as the decision maker. And that's a much more time-consuming and expensive process that we hope we can avoid simply by implementing power of attorney documents.
Excellent. I'm going to rewind a minute because I have some things popping up in the chat. One person wanted us to repeat the questions, and please, we encourage you to respond. So we asked the audience whether you are planning for yourself or helping a loved one, if you have had conversations already about future housing, do you currently provide care for someone, or any other reason you want to share as to why you're on today and with us. And while you're thinking about that, we've had our fourth panelist join us, Leah Anne Morse, and what we asked each person to do is say who they are, what their company is, and a superpower. And then I have a follow-up question.
Okay. So thank you. I'm sorry I got stuck on the interstate bad wreck. So I'm Leah Morse with All Things New, and I help people move from one home to another or into a senior living community. And we have spent the last 8 years helping people and helping them realize that the sooner you start, the better off you are. It's a huge process to go through all the things that you've collected throughout your life and decide what you want to keep or what you're willing to get rid of. So just kind of thinking through those steps and trying to coach them through that is what we specialize in. That would be my superpower.
Okay. So what do you think, and I asked this the other panelists, what's the biggest mistake families make in your area of expertise?
Waiting.
Everybody says the same thing.
And I learned it through my mom when my grandmother passed away and watched her agonize over all of her things and trying to figure out what to do with them. And I told her immediately, I said, when we get through doing hers, we're going to start on yours because it's just too much for one person to have to do on your own.
And I'll take my turn. I would say, well, first of all, I'm Mary Lou Nowak, and I'm the founder of Resource, the number 4 Care. And I create education similar to this and record it and have it free, available for anyone to watch, free of charge. And I think that one of the biggest mistakes besides waiting is going it alone. Mm-hmm. There's so many resources out there, and a lot of the times once you tap into one, they are somebody that can plug you into other resources. So whether you start with my website, and I have a list of professionals on there, or watch the video and reach out to the professional that's on there, as soon as you tap in and ask a question, if they can't answer it, I mean, we all are connected. Mm-hmm. We know somebody who can. So that would be my thing to share as far as the biggest mistake for families to make. So we'll start with Matt. And you touched on this already, but why is it important to do that legal planning while the people are healthy?
So I can't have people sign legal documents if they don't know what they're signing. And a lot of times the scenario that presents itself to me is we're dealing with people that already are experiencing some diminished capacity. And it's a slippery slope there because, while you don't necessarily have to have extensive capacity to read legal documents, you at least have to understand what the document is doing. In other words, you have to understand that you are appointing your daughter or your son to assist you with your financial decision making, to sign contracts on your behalf, to pay your bills, to admit you into a senior housing community. And a lot of times when we start to experience diminished capacity, the question as to whether or not you understand that's what you're doing can be a hard one to answer. And I'm not a doctor. And so we want to do this ahead of time when it's very clear that you know the consequences of what you're signing. Otherwise, again, what we see is we have to sometimes get the court involved to make this decision, because I'm not convinced that the person before me really understands what they're doing. And so we really need the court's authority involved to get an order in place, appointing someone to serve as that person's decision maker. We call that person a conservator. And all of this, power of attorney documents are a few $1,000 maybe, but conservatorships are $20,000 the first year alone. And so it's a huge expense that we try to avoid. And it's not as uncommon as people think. I'm down at court every single week on conservatorship matters, and it is an emotionally draining experience for the families, not to mention a financial heartache. So definitely getting the plans in place early. It extends a little bit beyond power of attorneys. We want to talk about someone's last will and testament, and make sure that they're aware of their financial documents and that their accounts have authorized signers on them, so that from a practical perspective, someone is able to pay their bills and pay the monthly fee for the senior housing environment that they reside in. We need someone to be able to admit them into hospitals and make medical decisions for them as well. So we have medical documents in place in that regard. So there's a lot to it. It's unfortunately never quite as simple as we want it to be, but it's a lot more simple if we kind of just attack it head on and get it taken care of initially, while our loved one still has the mental wherewithal to make these kinds of decisions and get these important people in place.
Right. So I'm going to ask Sherry a question, but Matt, if you could look, there's a number of questions that came in while you were talking, and there's even some towards the top, Dan. But you can start anywhere, whatever one you think would be good. But Sherry, what is a common trigger that force housing decisions?
A lot of times illness or a diagnosis, or the fact that they just need family close by, so they need to relocate closer to family. Their housing layout maybe not so good, or they've lost a spouse. Or once they lose a spouse, oftentimes it'll be financial that makes them need to make a change as well.
Sure, that's a painful one that motivates people to do things. For sure.
Mary Lou, I'll answer one of the questions if now's a good time. I see
Sure.
a question from Courtney on there. Her question is being on an account enough to handle the finances, or do we need a power of attorney? So being on an account can be enough for that account, but it's limited to that account only. What a power of attorney is supposed to do, it's a general, broad document that authorizes you to handle all kinds of different decision-making in all kinds of different scenarios. A power of attorney can include that account, but it's talking about other things too, like signing contracts, selling your house, hiring professionals to assist with your care, etc. As it pertains to that particular account, though, if you are an authorized signer on that account, then yes, that gives you the authority to manage that account for your loved one and pay the bills.
I think there's a power of attorney question there. Okay. Anyway, so for Leah Anne, have you chime in? What's the emotional burden of a lifetime of possessions? I know that's a loaded question.
That is a loaded question. It's okay. It's good. Well, that's the hardest part, is the emotional attachment to the things that they have. We're working with a client right now that's traveled all over the world. She has collections from Japan, China. I mean, you name the country, she's been there. And they have closets full of their collections, and we have spent a few weeks with them going through the things that she wants to keep and the things that she wants to try to sell at this point. But she has reached the point where she can no longer walk. She's in a wheelchair, and so all of these things are on the second floor. And she has a stair lift, so we take her up the stairs and then put her in another wheelchair and roll her into the room and help her, walk through these things. And the emotional part for her is deciding, and it's hard. And she, has said several times, I should have done this earlier. And then we have another client that's trying to move. They live out in Midtown, and they have this huge, beautiful home, but it's way more than they can take care of at this point, and they can't sell it because it's so big and so unique that they just have not found the right buyer. And so it's things like that. And then another lady that's a friend of theirs is now putting her house on the market and trying to get out of her house because she's watching them go through the pain and agony of trying to make this happen. So I just, encourage you, if you're even thinking about it, start looking at the things that you have, make choices about what you're actually using. If you value something but you're not touching it, take a picture of it, and then you can let it go. The picture will evoke the same emotions as looking at the actual thing. So I try to encourage people that way to get rid of some things to help lighten their load if they're trying to stay in their house, to clear some of it out, and that's a good way to do it.
Being in people's homes often when I provided or helped provide care, an indicator that maybe conversations hadn't happened that needed to was if I just asked a simple question like, do you have a power of attorney? And if they don't, or do you have a will? If they don't, then chances are those are common ones that people are familiar with. They aren't even familiar with all the other choices that go along, like all of you are mentioning. So those are key indicators for me that the conversations haven't happened yet. So if you are helping your family out in some way, I would ask those questions. The other one is, where do you want to live? Where do you want to retire? Where do you envision yourself staying? Here in the house or somewhere else? If the person's not able to really give you any kind of thoughtful answer, even if they don't have the answer yet, then chances are those conversations haven't started or haven't progressed enough. And it can be one of the first things as a family member that you can do to support them as a caregiver. It's not the actual care, it's having the conversations first while they're healthy enough to participate in the choices. Is there any others up there, Matt, that you see?
I don't see any other
Okay.
questions right now. No,
Okay.
there's some comments up there.
Okay. The client of mine that could be good for one or of your, okay. So Sherry, what should families consider when they're deciding whether to age in place?
Oh, that's a good one. I was just going to mention, like, Leah Anne you're really good with these people when they're trying to downsize. You handle it with such grace. But what I see sometimes is they're going from a 5,000 square foot home, and they want to stay in their home as long as possible, but now they're going to have to move for help. And they're going from 5,000 square feet to a one-bedroom assisted living. And that is too traumatic. So if they plan ahead, I often see them go from 5,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet. They enjoy it. They've downsized a lot. They can still travel. They can do some things without the headaches of the house. And now when they have to downsize more, it's not as traumatic.
Right.
And it's easier for the family too. Back
That's
to what
true.
was your question again?
What should they consider when deciding whether to age in place?
Oh, is the floor plan conducive to it even? Oftentimes I'll get that call is, we want to age in place, but come look at the house and make sure we don't mess it up for resale. And we can talk about ways to do it to still keep the value of the home so that if they do resell it and they need to sell it quickly, it's not going to hurt them. For instance, we have one that was converted to a handicap accessible home and was perfect for them for 25 years. But it has to be gutted and redone now because no one can use it the way it is. It was perfect for one person only. So that's one of the things.
Yeah, I think getting some advice from somebody like you that's been through it before, you can give them the nuances
Right.
that would enable them to get the most out of their property.
Right. And there's some really nice ways to make a home accessible and pleasing. We built a new one, and it's totally handicap accessible, but it doesn't look that way.
No, I've been to your place.
Right.
It doesn't at all. And there's the silver tsunami, and I'm part of it. That is really, the people that come after us are really going to benefit from, because we aren't ready to go into that one bedroom assisted living. So we do want to downsize, and we don't want our place to look like a hospital room. So all of these new products are coming out, and people are more experienced in modifying homes
Right.
in a more upscale way, where you don't look at it and say, okay, a disabled person lives here.
Right. And we see walk-in showers in many homes today. It's just normal. That's what people want. So
And handrails that look beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah, they're not the typical.
And we use them.
Don't tell anybody. No, I do too. Especially getting out of that tub, boy. So, Leanne, why is it so emotional, the downsizing?
Well, it's just your whole life. As you know, I remember one of the clients we worked with, he moved here from England. He met his wife his sister married her brother, and they met at the wedding. And so they were a really sweet couple. And so they talked for a little over a year, and then he moved here. And the suitcase that he brought here, it literally looked like an old trunk that you would carry from a long time ago. And he had that trunk up in the attic. And when I went up there, to bring it down, they both kind of got tears in their eyes, because, it was where they started. And so things like that are hard to let go of. But if you can adapt the area to fit that one thing, then that's the one thing you hang on to. But they get rid of something else that wasn't as emotional for them. So it's talking to them and finding out, and what one person's emotional trigger is very different than the next. One person will value their china, the next person values a little bitty frog they have sitting in the window that's a toothpick holder. I mean, you just never know. So you just have to be sensitive and be willing to take the time to have the discussion, and then let them choose what they want and what they can get rid of.
And I can't remember whether it was one of you, I believe, where they talked about, what do children really want?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh,
That's right.
you'd be surprised.
I know.
Other than money
Yeah.
and assets.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
What was the story?
You want a story? I'll give
Yes,
it.
I'd love a story.
This is it's probably an old wives' tale, but I like to think it really happened. One of my colleagues told me that he was an attorney for a beneficiary of an estate once, and it was a pretty hefty size estate. There were 5 beneficiaries, looked like $5 million estate. So this sounds pretty easy, right? Everybody take your million and walk.
No.
These people like to fight, and they were at their mother's home. Mother had just passed away, and they're in the kitchen, and we're looking at a set of 6 crystal goblets. There's 5 of them. We had an extra crystal goblet, and it's probably only worth $1,000. A nice sum, but considering what we're talking about, nothing too substantial.
Not a Rembrandt or anything.
But they can't figure out what to do with this extra goblet. And their attorneys are all getting frustrated, because attorneys do not like talking about the stuff. And finally, one of the attorneys knocks the goblet off of the counter and shatters it on the ground and writes a check to the estate for $1,000. And he says, "Are we done here?"
Love it.
I say that because I definitely see children fighting over stuff.
Yeah. Well, the other side of that is we have these things that are near and dear to our heart, and we think that our children feel the same way. I still have all the drawings when my kids were in grammar school.
Me too. Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to want them back. No. And I have them in the big box. I'm sure they're going to want them back. It'll be in my will. But anyway.
Turn it into a book and give it to them.
Okay. But this is not true. Dispel this.
Yes.
And what can we do?
Yeah.
Who wants to handle that? What can we do ahead of time? Some tips to move the things along.
I will say, as an adult child, if your parent says, "Hey, Do you want this? Say, yes, take it out of the estate, dispose of it, and you're done. You've already got one step ahead.
They don't
Yeah.
know what you did with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless they come over and expect to see it every
yes.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not just to trash
I
it, but,
understand,
but find
yes.
a home for it for them, because
Right.
that's the thing. They love it. They want it to have a home. So we can find it a home and let it move on.
Exactly.
But what are some of the things that people think that families want? Like,
Well, they
but
always,
they don't
Yeah, they
really.
always try to pass down the china, and children just don't eat on china anymore. Like kids of the next generation, I guess you'd say after us, they just don't eat on china. They don't want to wash it, and they don't want to store it, and they don't want to mess with it. And so, yeah, it's just a hard thing. And I've even suggested. We had one lady that had, I think it was 5 different china settings from all these family members that have been handed down, and she was moving into a senior living community. So I, suggested take a couple, and she wanted it all. So I said, take a couple place settings from each one, and then when you have people over, set your table with all of it, and then you get to tell the story of what belonged to which family member, but you cannot take it all. There's just no way. And then pick a couple of the serving pieces from each of the sets, and then let the rest go. And she did. But that way she got to keep some of it and didn't have to keep all of it, and could still share her story.
I really appreciate that y'all are having these conversations with your clients, because honestly, it's one of the most just difficult parts of administering an estate is for my clients to deal with the stuff. I mean, many of their parents are hoarders, and we're talking about just a house that is just full of things, and it's a difficult part of it.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, they keep
I mean-
newspapers and magazines and things from so
Right.
long ago, and it's, unfortunately it is good in a way that it's available online, but it's hard to help them understand that no one is going to pick up that magazine and read it.
And to Sherry's point about Leanne being, having a lot of grace, I mean, she's built her whole business, a whole business on just helping people do that. So it is something that's needed often and for a lot of people.
And she can do it where family members cannot.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you bring the experience, like saying, it didn't dawn on me. I have 2 sets of china that my kids wouldn't want it, but I that is true. It's a reality. I do use it, but they will not.
Yeah.
So my children know already that it's fine just the day we die to call in an estate sale company, that we're fine with it all just going, or they can bring in a dumpster. We don't care.
Yeah, we don't either.
So
Yeah.
whatever's easier.
Yeah. Yeah. We've already downsized, so we know.
We're in the process.
Yeah.
So, Matt, if someone became incapacitated tomorrow, what documents should they already have in place?
Yeah, hopefully they have at least a basic estate plan in place. We're talking about a financial power of attorney, a medical power of attorney, a last will and testament, a living will. A living will is different than a last will and testament. The living will, many of you have probably heard of this document. It's the document where you are making certain declarations as to your end-of-life bodily treatment. Specifically, if I am in a comatose situation or some kind of a quality of life where there is essentially no quality of life, do I want to be kept alive indefinitely through artificial means? Most of us say no to that question. Most of us would rather be permitted to pass away naturally, but a lot of our medical care providers' default position is to keep us alive, and it's also a hard decision for our loved ones to make, is to pull the plug. And so it's important for us to have that document in place if that is, in fact, what we want. Healthcare power of attorneys allow someone to make the medical decisions for us, and that helps. But again, the decision as to whether or not to pull the plug is a difficult one, and we want to make sure that we get our specific preferences in that regard in writing. The last will and testament is the document that comes into effect upon our death, and that's the document that appoints an executor to handle our affairs at that time and make sure that our estate goes to the proper people that we've designated. They might be going through all the household contents and divvying this out and giving it to people, or they might actually just hire an estate sale company and take care of it that way and just add the money to the estate. So I see a question on here right now that says if we'll send a list of documents that we recommend that they have in place.
It's funny you should say that.
And so we could probably get a list in writing for y'all.
Well, I actually have a handout here. 6 documents every senior should have, which lists.
How did you know that question?
Is that from my firm?
Yes. So whoever's interested in receiving this, if you just want to put your name, actually it'll show up with your name, so that's fine. Just put your email in the chat, and we'll send this. There's also a document here that talks about the 7 myths about estate planning, and I read through them and I found it to be really helpful. So we'll send both of those documents to you. Just put your email in the chat. I could go on and, well, we'll do that later.
Real quick,
Yeah.
one thing, if they pull a will or something online and they fill it out, doesn't always cover real estate. I found that out. They cannot sell the real estate because they don't have the proper power of attorney, because it just didn't specify real estate was included in that. So definitely get a professional to write this up for you.
Yeah, the do-it-yourself documents, I mean, sometimes they work. I'm not going to say they never work, but they are fraught with problems. And Sherry's exactly right. Real estate is it's handled differently in the state of Tennessee and many other states. It either needs to be specifically addressed or it might not be quite as easy to manage as you thought.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Good point.
I learned the hard way.
Don't we
Do you want to touch at all on asset planning or protection, I mean? I know this is a short time, but we have enough time to talk a little bit about it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I'll discuss asset protection from a couple of different standpoints. One is going through the court process known as probate, and the other is basically asset protection in the face of trying to get government benefits to help with long-term care expenses. When it comes to probate is the court process where we go to court and have an executor appointed and administer the estate. And that's what we use a last will and testament for. The will is supposed to make the probate process easier. But the common myth is that a will avoids probate altogether, and that's simply not true. The will is for probate. Now, there are ways to avoid probate, and that can be handled through the use of trusts, through beneficiary designations, but it's a much more comprehensive process that's not handled simply by having a document. We have to do a comprehensive sweep of your various accounts and assets and make sure that all of what you own has a way to avoid probate. Asset protection from a long-term care standpoint is a very different kind of a question. Long-term care is expensive, and as we continue to age longer and longer and require care, and the cost of care is $10,000 a month or something like that, that's more than most of us bring in on a monthly basis. And while there are government programs that are available to assist with the cost of long-term care, these are means-tested benefits, and that means that we have to financially qualify for these benefits. And they won't let us have a whole lot of money, they meaning the government. And so asset protection in that regard means that we have to figure out a way to protect certain assets from being included as part of our net worth. And so we address that through certain irrevocable asset protection trusts and things of that nature. But that is a question of how comfortable people are transferring ownership and control of their own property.
Right. Especially, the irrevocable. It's
You
no
can't
longer
change
belongs
it.
to you, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just while you're talking, if we could just touch a little bit on Medicaid misconception. We won't go deep because we actually have other podcasts about Medicaid, and we have a specialist in Medicare, Medicaid. But what's the misconception with Medicaid when it comes to
One of
planning?
the big misconceptions is that Medicaid is there for all of us, and Medicaid is actually only there for those of us that need skilled nursing care. It's not there for those of us that simply need assisted living or dementia care. There's different types of long-term care, all of which cost a lot of money. But Medicaid is available for those of us who are essentially bedridden and reside in a nursing home. And so the medical eligibility component of Medicaid is often missed.
Right. It's financial and you have to qualify medically.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Let's look. Someone made a comment. Something I learned the hard way. If your parent or someone you love has a DNR, anybody want to say what a DNR is?
Do not resuscitate.
Yep, do not resuscitate. In the event of the medical emergency, you are required to show the DNR to the paramedics, or they have an obligation, and we'll take measures to revive the person.
Wow. And
Yeah,
we
what-
don't just carry that around with us all the
No.
time.
When we provided home care, we had a binder in the home with contact information and emergency things, and we made sure that if the person had a DNR, it was in that binder. That's how we covered it. But yeah, if you're out somewhere, or, I mean, now we have computers. We're walking around with computers, so I guess we can have it on our phone. But you're
Another
right.
idea is a laminated card to put in your wallet. If you can reduce the document down to just a small little card
Good
and
idea.
laminate it,
That
put it
is
in your
good.
wallet,
Right.
that's an idea as
Yeah,
well.
they don't need to be able to read it as detailed, but just know that you have it.
Correct.
That makes sense. So that's a great tip. I hadn't heard that one before.
There's a question up there that says, what is the process for applying for Medicaid? What government agencies do you contact? In Tennessee, so Medicaid is jointly funded by the federal and state governments. In Tennessee, it's TennCare is what we call it. And the Bureau of TennCare, they do have their application online. A lot of times the nursing home will also assist with the Medicaid application. And that's because the benefit that gets paid out through the Medicaid program doesn't go to you directly. It, in fact, goes to the nursing home themselves. So we pay our share. We provide the nursing home with our income, and that's our patient liability amount. And then Medicaid will pay the excess cost of the nursing care, but that part goes directly to the nursing home. And they usually will have a social worker or someone who can assist with the process. My law firm also assists with Medicaid applications, and it's something that we can do ourselves. It does require a little bit of looking online, but it's the Bureau of TennCare in Tennessee.
We also have a sponsor of our program that helps make this free, and her name is Janelle Holloway of Eagle Hollow Enterprises, and I'll actually give you her number. It's 901-270-1127. She does not charge for her advice, so if you have a question that you want to pass by Janelle, she's a sweet lady. I know she'd be happy to help you figure out the details. Oh, somebody typed it in for us. Thanks, Angie. Do you looking for a part-time position in assistant something? Anyway, how do families know when it's time to bring in help? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about that one. Often families wait until they're on the brink of something, brink of exhaustion, frustration, impatience. They begin to feel bad about how they're feeling. And so it's really important to put boundaries in place. And the boundaries sometimes I see are really too tight. So give yourself some grace if you're caring for someone, and leave time in your schedule to replenish yourself. If you can't go to any function or to church or that prayer group or that group that you enjoy their company of at all because you're a caregiver, then you're already really constricting. And if any incident happens or care gets more intense or the conditions change or you get sick or ill, you're already past the point where you're giving from an empty cup. So I really encourage people to build in scheduled time to do the things that they enjoy doing And it doesn't have to be your whole life that, caregiving takes up, a lot of your time, and it's a gift you give and you receive from. So you don't want to not do it. That's not what I'm advocating for. But I am advocating that you don't wait until your whole life and world has shrunk to the point that you just describe yourself as a caregiver and you're no longer, that same person. You've already constricted, and then one more thing on the pile, and it could all crumble, and that's not what you want.
Mary Lou, I wanted to go back real quick to Dina's question about the government agencies to
Yes.
contact. If we are talking about care in the home, the government agency to contact is the Aging Commission of the Mid-South. And that organization will assist with possible Medicaid at home or other benefits that may be available for someone looking to see what they qualify for in the home.
There's another question. What advice was it that Janelle gives? They said, sorry, I was distracted. Yeah, it happens to all of us. Janelle is an expert in insurance, but is very knowledgeable in Medicaid and Medicare because she has to work closely with that in order to have a complement of insurance to go with it. So she's a great person, free advice just to reach out to and ask questions about what's covered under Medicare or Medicaid. Thanks, Angie, for putting Aging Commission in there. So look in the chat, because Angie says, as we're saying things, Angie's putting answers in too. Okay. So we might have talked about it already, but what legal mistakes, Matt, do you see families make over and over again, other than waiting? Because we already know that answer.
A lot of times we see people try to do it themselves, and there's just I've had wills that I've tried to admit in court that had handwriting all over it, and it was just very difficult to get anything done with that. The law has very specific formalities that have to be adhered to for a will to be considered a valid will. And it makes sense, right? Because we're talking about inheritances, and how common would it be to forge a document if it was easy to do that? So the do-it-yourself wills can be problematic. They generally don't cover everything, like the real estate and various other things that might otherwise be addressed. Power of attorneys, do-it-yourself power of attorneys are very difficult because those documents you need to have honored by banks and insurance companies. It's not going before a judge or an attorney. You're going before a company. And so if it's not done just right, it's the company's probably not going to honor it. So power of attorneys are really important to get done through a law firm as opposed to do it yourself. Honestly, probably the biggest issue is one that I can't do anything about, and that's families that fight. The greatest indicator of a successful plan is to have a family that gets along and wants to help each other. But if there is a problematic family member, that's just all the more reason to make sure that you get your documents in place early and make everything ironclad.
I saw one recently we loved. In that document, if they argued, they were cut out.
Yes.
Wow.
We call that a no contest clause.
That's right.
If you contest this, you forfeit your inheritance.
That's right.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you the same question, but just from a home standpoint, Sherry. What home mistake or what thing about housing or where your home is do you see families make over and over again?
Of course, it's waiting too long, but what I've seen too much that breaks my heart is just not having the right legal document in place. The house goes into foreclosure because the family does not have the money to make the house payment, pay the taxes, the utilities, and keep it up. Maybe someone wasn't appointed to do anything. A neighbor was taking care of the documents. One was in a reverse mortgage, and because they were in a coma, nothing could be done at that point. So the mortgage company got
Took
it really
over.
quick,
Yeah.
right? So I do not want people to lose the equity in the homes that they paid for
My goodness,
so long.
you're trying to save that every day.
I
You should
am.
have a little cape. from my experience and things we've talked about, talk a little bit about when homes need repairs, and people overdoing the repairs or underdoing it, and it affects
I'd
the
love
price.
to be in on that conversation before they do anything, because oftentimes the thing that they've hated about their home for so long, they think that's the repair that needs to be done. It doesn't even need to be touched because it's fine. That is fine. It may be some little something over here that needs to be fixed so that it's presentable and clean and ready to, because we often sell homes as is. We don't do all the updates. A lot of people don't want to put that money into it.
Sure.
And if they want to, we will orchestrate and handle all of that for them so they don't have to worry about it, especially if they've already gone on to independent living or assisted living or something. We'll play, not a contractor, but we will help orchestrate all of that pieces for them so it can get done so they make more money.
Absolutely. So whether you use, this wonderful broker or anyone else, if that broker or real estate person is not a resource for you to give you insight into how you should not really price your home, but position it.
Right.
Position it based on the repairs that are needed or not needed, then you need to find someone else.
Right. And if we position it in its as-is condition, it gives that buyer that wants to put some sweat equity in, it gives them a little bit of room to work. So it works out perfect.
Right. Often tell me if I'm wrong, Leon, often it's the possessions that keep people from moving or making a decision.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're not ready to get rid of the many things that they own. I do have one example I was thinking about, and Sherry is the one that helped me sell this house. We were working with a client and very organized, and they called me and they were planning on moving into a senior living community, and they had a 5 to 10 year plan. This is how organized they were. They were the only client we've ever had this happen with, but they had a 5 to 10 year plan. And so we sat down and I asked them some questions about what was the reason for waiting. They had the money to move in. They just weren't sure they were ready to make the move. So we had another client that had just moved into that same community, and I said, why don't you go talk to them and see.
Talk to their friends, in
talk
other
to
words.
their friends, yeah. And talk to them about the transition that they made and how they feel about it. And so they did. And then they called me back and they said, okay, we're ready to move. Because I said, what if in the next 5 to 10 years something happens to the roof on your house and it's not covered by insurance? Or you have a flood. They had a flood in their home and it cost them $60,000 out of their pocket to fix it because it wasn't in a zone where a flood would happen.
Yeah, they didn't have the insurance.
And it was just something that was unusual. So sitting down with someone and even talking to them, even when they're organized and ready, letting them kind of see the light from a different view, because this community they moved into, they'll even sit down with them and explain the expenses that you incur by staying in your home. And if you have the money to make the move and give up all of that responsibility and just enjoy your life, then it's another way to look at it. Yes, you do have to downsize a little bit, but you get to give all of that up for freedom to go and enjoy all the rest of your life.
The last time I talked to them, they said, we still feel like we need to pinch ourselves. We're still on a cruise. Everything's done for us. We love it. So.
Yes.
Yeah, they look at the clock and say, oh, dinner's being served.
Oh, I can go play cards.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for family members, too. If we're looking for our parents to make decisions or talk to us about it, there might be someone that's gone ahead, before them already that might be a good resource. So how often do people believe others than their own family members, right, on advice?
Oh, a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I should move the house into my granddaughter's name because that's what my neighbor did, right?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, we call it the beauty shop law, right? Somebody went to the local beauty shop and heard this, and so therefore.
And then I asked the question about, well, what if your granddaughter's in an auto accident? Oh, I didn't think about that.
Well, that brings up, we see a lot of times seniors want to put their children on their bank accounts because that way their children can help pay their bills. And so they add their children as a joint owner on their bank accounts. And while that will work, the problem is that it potentially subjects the senior's money to their child's liabilities. If the child were to get a divorce or to cause a car accident or get sued, then the money that's really not the child's money is potentially subject to these kinds of things. And so what we generally advise our clients to do is to have your child listed as an authorized signer so that they're authorized through the power of attorney to handle the finances and access the account, but they're not considered a joint owner of the account.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that came up recently where a woman had her sister on, but things, relationship or financial things changed, and she was about to do her power of attorney, and it was going to be someone else, but she had her joint owner on the account and had for many years. So having that conversation, so they actually suggested leaving a few dollars in there as to not offend the sister, and then just move the rest of the money to a brand new account.
It's easier that way.
It is
Right.
easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the conversation.
The
That
only
was something
problem
I
is you
learned.
have to then redo all the automatic deposits and automatic withdrawals that you
true.
might have set up with that account. But you're right, if you have a joint owner on there, then you can't unilaterally do anything with that account. You need the joint owner's consent as well.
Now, our podcasts are usually an hour long, but because we had Matt on and we were going to dive a little deeper, we are due to be on for longer, for 30 minutes, but I feel like we've covered a lot. I have a few more things to go over, but weigh in, you all. Do you feel like you got your time's worth, or do you want us to continue, through to 1 o'clock as what we had originally planned? I wanted to mention also that about Sherry's book. Well, Sherry, in your own words, instead of me, I mean, you wrote this book to help people not just with housing,
Right.
really for planning
We wrote
purposes.
it during COVID. We were settling an estate for a family member, and we learned a lot. And we just wanted to, and then our experience in real estate over the last 30 years, just things that we know that we want people to think about.
Yes.
We're not an attorney, but we want people to start thinking about gaps they have.
Right.
So, if you're thinking about selling, the book is great. You can read it. We've got it on our website. It's free. If you want me to drop by a hard copy, we'll get a hard copy to you. The workbook, we found that people read the book, but they don't actually sit down and start putting the documents together. So the workbook is free as well. We want families to talk with families. We want
Yes.
children and parents to talk together. Fill it out. It makes a good resource if you need to find something quick. And it also shows you, oh, I don't have a financial planner, or I don't have an attorney, somebody that my family can call when they have the hard questions. So once they start working on the workbook, they'll find the professionals that they need to plug in so that they are covered in an event something comes up down the road.
So I just want to say that if you are on today, it's free to everyone, but if you're on today, just type your email in, even if you did previously, because we know that was for the checklists and the myths from Douglas Runger. But if you'd like a copy of the book, just put your email and the word book, and I will share your email with Sherry, and she'll reach out to you and get your address if you want a physical copy.
Perfect.
I didn't hear anybody weigh in on staying longer. I have many more things I could talk about.
Thank you, Angie. Someone was asking for my contact
Yes.
information, and it looks like Angie's given them the website address and the office phone number, so thank you for that.
Yes. And somebody complimented me because my title is Mary Lou. She knows what to do, and if she doesn't, she knows who to ask. That's my long description. So somebody was giving me a really nice compliment of there. I was kind of smirking earlier reading it.
Cute.
Okay, a few people are asking for the book.
Very good.
So just one last question, unless we hear, go further, do more. What if your own parents were here today, sitting with us, what would you encourage them to do in the next 12 months? Who wants to go first? You want to go opposite? You want to take the first?
Sure. Yeah. I'm reading the question and thinking about my mom because she lives with us, and I'm thinking if she could like do things differently, I guess what would she probably choose to do? And it's kind of the same thing. Maybe have started a little earlier with even the documents. Like we've had several family members pass away in a short period of time. And even the ones that had all the documents in place, there were still hiccups along the way. We have one relative, I was telling Mary Lou, that worked in a government position. I'm not going to say which. It took us 2 years to get the money. Everything was set up just like it was supposed to be. We had to go to court 3 times and actually sue that branch of the government to get her money. And it took 2 years. And it was long and grueling. So even when things are set and perfect, it's still not easy. So the more that you can do for your family, encourage your parents to do, and like the book, Sherry's book, that's such a great tool to use, and even then for yourself to set that up so that your family members aren't stuck doing so many of the things that need to be done, and it all has to be done. It makes it so much easier if so many more things are in place.
Yeah.
I'll add to that. When we were doing our stuff, our family member had a trust set up, so that was really easy. But a lot of these investment accounts, the beneficiary is there, but they work on a whole different agenda. And they each one have their own, you might have to tell me the words, they each one have their own beneficiary type of form, and they're all different. So I would encourage you to talk to your investment people and find out what forms they need so you can add that to that trust.
Yeah.
Put it
Good
with that
point.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think what I would tell my mom is sit down with me and let's go through this book. Because what we didn't know with my dad was we didn't know the finish line. So what I mean by that is he had little stock there, a little stock there, a little account here, and he didn't have it all, and Sherry's book helps you do this, he didn't have it all written down in one place. And to this day, I think, well, maybe not today, but this year, we still had a dividend come in for a stock. Now, my dad is gone 3 years, and we didn't know anything about this thing. So we didn't know the finish line. We didn't know when we were done managing the estate.
We're still looking for a $16 dividend that comes in every 3 months. I don't know where it is. I'm still searching 4 years later.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was going to say too. Is I urge my clients to kind of get their affairs condensed onto like a 2 or 3 page document where you list each of your accounts, what it is. Is it a checking account? Is it a life insurance policy? Is it an IRA? And have the contact information there. Where is this account held? What is the account number? How much is in the account? If you have an online access, what is your ID and your password?
Passwords, very
and,
important.
And do that with your insurance policies. Do it with your social media. I mean, that's becoming a thing now. Facebook makes it hard as heck for you to access if somebody passes away. And so I try to urge them to get a 2 or 3 page summary of their entire life, essentially, because to your end, it helps you not only know what you're looking for, but when you can stop looking.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And there's places to put your passwords in here. There's account information. It's wonderful.
Can I
Can't
say
say more.
something too?
Yeah, of course.
My husband and I use, I guess you'd say, a software that's called Secure Safe, and it has all of our passwords, and it's all online. And our children have the information to get onto that website if something were to happen to us, and everything is on that one site. So it makes it very, very easy in the event that something crazy did happen. It's all right there, and it's very secure.
Excellent.
Because it's hard to update that paper with all the passwords that change
Yes.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone commented that they've been working with for almost a year with Social Security Administration to get the funds due to her stepmother.
Yeah. It happens.
It happened with us.
Right.
My dad, unfortunately had a brain bleed. He had no ailments that would cause it, but it just was a weakness in his head, and he lost his memory almost immediately. We had to get a conservatorship. So I definitely don't want anybody to have to go through that.
Right.
Okay. So the answers are really personal. They're different, and they're unique to each person. But having resources and reaching out and doing it early, I think that's our final message here. Go to the website, look up any of the people that are connected with me. Right on that website and reach out to them, especially if you tell them you got it through Resource for Care. They're good people regardless, but they'll either answer or connect you to somebody who can. If you hadn't or you didn't hear me earlier, if you want Douglas and Runger's list of 7 myths and the documents, list of documents you absolutely do need to have, 6 of them, just put in the chat your email and next to it, myth. If you can just put the word myth, and I'll know you want the documents.
If they
All right.
want the workbook, if they want to add workbook to they've got book
I'm
already?
assuming book means both.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you put book in there, then I'm going to make Sherry mail you both of them.
Or tell me which branch you're at, and I'll drop it
But
by.
she's going to reach out to you and say, I got your info from the webinar, and do you want both or whatever? You can ask them whatever.
Perfect.
Because I'm not keeping it. I'm sending it to you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, today. We'll leave it up for a minute if you're a slow typer. Put either myth in or book. And the people who typed early on, I know it was about the forms. So we're good. Angie, do you have any last words? I didn't let you speak at all, but Pinnacle Financial Partners has been a partner in making this possible.
I just want to say thank you to all the panelists. I know I'll put it in the chat, but I appreciate all your information. I've been through it a lot.
Yes.
So I think learning from other people's mistakes makes it a lot easier.
I agree.
But thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us get the word out. We are planning another partnership with Pinnacle scheduled for Thursday, July 24th. Do I have that date right, Dan? Let me look at my calendar.
You probably need to talk about it before you 100%.
Okay. Well, we're going to firm that up, but look for another announcement. We're looking to schedule one more at the end of July. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thanks,
and we
Mary
wish
Lou.
you the best.
Yeah, thank you.